The User Manager in Joomla. In this lesson, we'll review how you can add a user, different options that are available for users, how to put them in different groups, and then how to create user notes. To get to the User Manager, you have to go to the Administrator Control Panel by going to your website/administrator. From here, you can either click on the User Manager quick icon, or you can go to Users and click on User Manager. To create a new user, just click on the New button. Once you're on the Add New User screen, we're going to just go through all the account details. First of all, you put in the name. The name is going to be the user's name, not their login name. So for the name, we'll call it Joomla Test. The login name, I'm just going to call it Joom Test, all one word. The password, then you need to confirm it. And then you need to give a valid email address for this user. Next, you have some options. If you want them to receive system emails or not, and also if you want to block this user or not. For now, I want to keep that as no, and receiving system emails, I'm also going to click as a no. If you scroll down, here you have the assigned user groups. This is where you define what group or category that your user will fall into. By default, registered is already selected. If I want this person to be able to log into the back end of the site, I would give them a manager and an administrator user ID as well. The additional options that you have are on the right-hand side under Basic Settings. You have the back-end template style. What this means is based on your user, they can actually have a different view of the administrator template than other users. You have the back-end language, the front-end language, what editor you want them to work with, what help site they go to, and what time zone they're in. We're going to leave all these as their basic settings. On the top, I have 3 different options to save. I can click on Save, which will save the user, and it will keep me on the same screen. I can click Save and Close, which will save the user and then take me off of the screen. Or I can click on Save and New, which will save the user, and then it will give me a blank new user page. For right now, I'm going to click Save and Close. When you want to manage the different options for users, a couple of parameters have moved from global configuration into the options icon in the user menu. Again, this is relatively new. So if you go to User Manager and click on Options on the top right, first of all, there's the component. This is now where we define if you want to allow user registration on the front end. What this means is if on your front end you have a user login module, if the allow user registration is set to yes, that means anybody can register to go into your site. If you don't want people to be able to self-register, make sure you turn this to no. The next option is what you want their registration group to be. So if they self-register, what do you want them to start out as? As a guest, this is when someone that is not logged in, what security level are they going to have? Typically, you would set this to public. The new user account activation means, assuming you have allowing user registration set to yes, meaning someone can self-register. This defines how Joomla confirms that it's a valid user. If you set it to none, the user gets registered immediately. If you set it to self, the user gets emailed a link in order to activate their account before they can log in. If it is set to administrator, then the user will be emailed a link to verify their email address. Then an administrator will be notified in order to activate the user's account. The next option is where you set if you're going to send a notification email to administrators or not. The CAPTCHA option is brand new for 2.5. This means CAPTCHA is part of the core. So what that means to you is if you have a registration form, a contact form, or any form set up in the system, they will automatically have the CAPTCHA, assuming you set this to a CAPTCHA reCAPTCHA. Or you can install additional third-party plugins to manage this. The front-end user parameters means that when a person logs in, if they're able to adjust some of their parameters on their front end. The front end language means they can define what languages they will be using. The next option in users configuration is mass mail, where you can set it up for a subject prefix and what you want the male body suffix to always have in it. The last option that you can set are the permissions. These are the default permissions that are used for all content in this component. You can manage the different permission settings for all of the different groups that exist. Basically, you can set up if you want them to be able to go to configuration, access the component, create, delete, edit, or edit their own information for all the various groups. When you're done setting up the user's configuration, you can click on Save and Close. The next option in the User Manager are the user groups. Initially added in the 1.6 release and then obviously carried on to 2.5 is the concept of user groups. This means you can create and customize user groups in the system. In the older versions of Joomla, you were set with the specific groups that you had to use. We were very excited when this new functionality was added. Another option are the viewing access levels, where you can create custom groups and define what their viewing accesses are. A new feature to Joomla 2.5 are user notes. You can actually add a note for a user, then when they log in, their note will be flagged, and then they can actually read the note. It's just another way to communicate between your users. In this lesson, we discussed how you can add a user, the different options for users in Joomla, the group levels, viewing access levels, and user notes.